Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We wish to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land within the Shire of Chittering, the Yuin and Whadjuk peoples. We would like to pay respect to the elders of the Noongar Nation, past and present, who have walked and cared for the land. We acknowledge and respect their continuing culture and the contributions made to this region. Declare the meeting open at 7:02. Please note, as per Council Resolution 130423, this meeting is being live streamed. Item 2, record of attendance, apologies, approved leave of absence and announcements. So in attendance we have all of Council. As an apology, we have the Executive Manager, Deputy Executive Manager, Mr Scott Clayton, as an apology. Otherwise we have from the staff, the Chief Executive Officer, Melinda Prinsloo, the Executive Manager of Development Service, Mr Jake Whistler, Executive Manager of Technical Service, Mr Leo Puda, and Executive Assistant, Anna Bateman. So thank you. And we have all of Council in attendance. Approved leave of absence, there is nil. Announcements. Councillors, you are requested to advise of any attendances as members of local government. Are there any changes to or edits to the attendances listed?
Yeah, the volunteer dinner. Thanks.
What date was that, Councillor Stewart?
7th.
Nothing else? Great, I'll move on. Item 3, disclosure of interest. Councillors, are there any disclosures of interest in any matters before Council this evening? There are no disclosures of interest. Item 4, public question time. Response to previous public questions taken on the notice, there are nil. Public question time. There are nil members of the public, so there will be nil questions. Item 5, presentations, petitions and deputations. On all 3 there are nil. Item 6, applications for leave of absence. Councillors, do you have any wish to submit any request for leave? All right. Item 7, confirmation of minutes. Councillors, you have a recommendation that the minutes of ordinary council meeting of council held on Wednesday the 20th November be confirmed. Can I have a move for the officer's recommendation? Councillor Angus. Seconder, Councillor Ross, thank you. You said there would be someone. Councillor Angus.
No comments, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Angus. Councillor Ross. Council, is anyone speaking against the officer recommendation? No one speaking against the officer's recommendation. I'll declare carried without dissent 7-0. Item 8, announcements from the presiding member. First announcement is in regards to Your Move Award held on the 4th of December. I'm pleased to announce that the Shire of Chittering won the Department of Transport's Statewide Innovation in Infrastructure Design Award for the Bindoon Mountain Bike Park project. The runner-up was the City of Melville, a much larger council, which makes the achievement all the more memorable. So congratulations to everyone and everyone involved, and unfortunately I couldn't be there for that, but congratulations. Next item is Thank a Volunteer celebration held on the 7th of December. On Saturday past we held Thank a Volunteer event to recognise and celebrate the invaluable contributions of our wonderful volunteers. It was a fantastic opportunity to show our appreciation for their hard work throughout the year. So thank you to all the volunteers. Next announcement is opening of the Christmas Grotto on the 7th of December. The Christmas Grotto opening held following the Thank a Volunteer event was a great success with incredible support from local businesses who contributed imaginative Christmas tree displays. It was wonderful to see so many members of the community joining in to share the festive spirit. And I must say, at night, it looks absolutely fantastic, to be honest. So, thank you for everyone involved. Library Christmas party, the 10th of December. The library hosted the Christmas morning tea, which was a lovely chance for the community to come together and celebrate the season. The library, who will host its Carols Amongst the Books event on Wednesday, the 18th of December. The library will also host its Carols Amongst the Books event on Wednesday, the 8th of December, and we encourage everyone to join this festive celebration. An important one, Santa's Lolly Run, the Volunteer Fire Brigade. So the Volunteer Fire Brigades will soon embark on their Santa's Lolly Run, spreading Christmas cheer throughout the community. Upper Chittering will be Saturday the 14th of December, starting at 8 a.m. Mouchet will be Monday the 16th of December, starting at 5 p.m. Lower Chittering will be Saturday the 14th of December, starting at 9 a.m. And then Bindoon at Clue Park will be Saturday the 21st of December, starting at 9 a.m. So get your lollies on. Australia Day celebrations that will obviously occur in the future, the 26th of January 2025 will be our next event, being the Australian Day ceremonies and Advance Australia Fair event. Celebrations will start with a breakfast, following by a citizenship ceremony and the announcement of our Australia Day award winners. The day will conclude with a family-friendly Advance Australia Fair event featuring a classic old-school fair with free activities for everyone. I look forward to seeing you there. I would lastly, not least, give thanks to Council for all the hard work and dedication you've done through the year. Your efforts have been greatly appreciated, and so has the collaborative and work by everyone on particular matters. So I look forward to working with you all in the new year. Lastly, thanks goes to the CEO and her team, Belinda's team. It's been a busy year. There's been many challenges and many achievements as throughout the year we've gone through a period of being very successful in winning a number of awards, and that sets a high bar for the next year. But thank you for all your hard work. Have a safe and festive new year and return safe and sound, and we'll pick it all back up in the new year. So thank you. Councillors, whilst we're moving on, is there anyone else wish to say anything under these announcements? If you're quite free to.
Look, just really to add to on, Mr. President, the Christmas tree grotto really is remarkable, like just the trees. There are some very creative things that people have done, and it is good that more than 24 community groups picked up the invitation to create a tree. So it's just been a fabulous initiative.
It certainly brightened up the town, make no mistake. All right. Melinda, is there anything you'd want to say? You're welcome to.
Thank you to my council for their support during the year.
Okay, very good. Item 9, reports. Development Services, DS01 1224. Re-advertising of proposed local structure plan precinct 3 of the Mouchet Industrial Park. Councillors, you have an officer's recommendation, and for some reason my computer is going on save. Just 1 minute. All right. Right. Okay. Councillors, you have an officer's recommendation that as you can read on the screen. Can I have a mover for the officer's recommendation, please? Councillor Curtis, I think goes in quickly, and I think Councillor Angus would be the seconder. Councillor Curtis, the mover. Councillor Angus, the seconder. Councillor Curtis?
Yeah, Mr. President, I support the officer's recommendation. Looks like these developer doesn't want to do the right thing, so yeah. I support the officer's recommendation for those points.
Thank you, Councillor Curtis. Councillor Angus.
Thank you. Yep, we have spent significant time on this in the past, looking at all the things that are intended to happen there or to not happen, and we did make suggestions of what needed to be done in the past. I'm happy to support the officer's recommendation that we resubmit to the West Australian Planning Commission our concerns that there are still so many things that have not been addressed, and I think we need to remind them of the fact. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Angus. Council, anyone speaking against the officer's recommendation? Anyone wish to speak for? Councillor Ross.
I think just to point out that this is really a very important matter and it is ongoing. It's been a very long time now. Pardon me. This is difficult land. We've known that since day one, and things like the drainage, either they work at the outset or they never will. So these are preparatory things. We really need to make sure that they're in place for the whole development to be effective in the long term. So I'm very pleased that our planning people are pursuing this and have brought this before us tonight.
Thank you, Councillor Ross. Councillors?
I suppose I'd just like to add,
Campbell?
it sets a minimum standard that we need to comply to, the officer's recommendations, and with proponents not actually listening to and taking back the feedback that we give them is quite disappointing. So I fully support this, and we've got to stick to our guns and enforce this kind of, I won't say non-compliance, but it does set a precedent.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Councillor Campbell. Councillor Hughes?
I agree with the comments of my colleagues here, and also just to reiterate that it's not actually a statutory requirement that the WAPC come back to council for this recommendation. So I am encouraged that perhaps they're trying to build a stronger case by reiterating council's recommendations and allowing us to make this submission again to them.
Thank you, Councillor Hughes. Councillor Dewar, anything from you?
Enough said, I think.
Okay. Just my comment, which is almost repetitive of what everyone else said, is very disappointing the proponent didn't take into consideration all of our concerns. They did address a couple, but not all of them. And as was rightly pointed out, we've had other developments where the works have been substandard, and we've inherited the financial legacy at the expense of our ratepayers. So it is incumbent on us to ensure, or do everything possible to ensure that the, less than suboptimal design makes its way into these developments, and so that we don't pick up the bill at the end of the day. So I support the officer's recommendation, and I suggest we continue to keep pushing that these concerns get addressed in the future, I hope. Councillor Curtis, you have a right of reply.
Nothing more to add, Mr. President.
Councillors, anyone speaking against the officer's recommendation? Thank you, councillors. If no one's speaking against the officer's recommendation, I'll declare carried without dissent 7-0. Next item of business is DS02, application for development approval, reduction of black soldier flies. Councillors, you have an officer's recommendation. Can I have a mover for the officer's recommendation? Councillor Hughes. Seconder, Councillor Campbell. Councillor Hughes.
Thank you, Councillor King. I'm happy to support this officer's recommendation. Whilst there's, this is under revision with the scheme amendment to become a industrial precinct with general and heavy construction uses. which may be quite impactful to the environment. I'm pleased to see that whilst this is technically a non-complying use, it's actually going to have quite a good offset for those environmental impacts in other places around the state where these soldier ants are going to be breaking down combustible waste. So very pleased to see that whilst it's a non-conforming use, it is actually quite a less impactful one than what is perhaps proposed elsewhere on that area.
Thank you, Councillor Hughes. Councillor Campbell.
Thanks, Councillor King. Yes, supported. The impact to the surrounding properties will be very minimal, and I think the flies have a limited lifespan, so should one escape, I think it'll die in a few days. It's also activating the space with the industry other than the transport depots, and hopefully will provide local employment opportunities. So it's an exciting way of managing sustainable waste management, so look forward to it evolve. So I support it.
Thank you, Councillor Campbell. Councillors, anyone speaking against the officer's recommendation? Anyone wish to speak for? Councillor Ross.
Thanks, Mr. President. I think this is a fabulous application for something that will be an asset in the Shire. It's innovation by way of biological response to waste rather than just endless landfill and whatever else happens to it at the moment. And I commend, I think we're fortunate that the site this applicant has chosen is within our Shire. It will be a very good innovation to have this in our Shire. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Ross. Councillor Angus.
Thank you. I also feel the same as Councillor Ross, and I was happy last week to hear the deputation. Before that, I'd never heard of black soldier flies, but I'm happy now that I have, and it's interesting to see where we go from here. Also happy to see that during the consultation there was no objections received from neighbouring landowners nor from state agencies. So hopefully it will all go to plan and we'll see a positive outcome.
Thank you, Councillor Angus. Councillors. Councillor.
Yeah, Mr. President, I'm excited
Curtis.
for this development, and I think it'd be a good asset for the Shire.
Thank you, Councillor Curtis. Councillor Dew, anything from you? Otherwise, no, I support the officer's recommendation, and it's a novel use of biological processes to deal with waste, so we look forward to it growing in time, I guess. So, all right. Councillor Hughes, do you need right of reply?
Only to correct myself, I meant black soldier flies, not black soldier ants earlier.
That's fine.
Other than that, no requirement for right of reply.
All right, councillors. Anyone speaking against? Councillor, if no one speaking against the officer's recommendation, I'll declare carried without dissent 7-0. Next item of business is technical services, TS01, budget reallocation, Mullumbini Road, Wheatbelt Secondary Freight Network, funding to Mullumbini Road, black spot funding. So, councillors, you have an officer's recommendation. Can I have a mover for the officer's recommendation? Getting dizzy going around circles. Okay, Councillor Ross, thank you. That's the mover. Councillor Campbell is the seconder. Councillor Ross.
Thanks, Mr. President. I consider this a relatively straightforward matter. Circumstances change, lines of revenue change, needs change. I have no difficulty in supporting this.
Thank you, Councillor Ross. Councillor Campbell.
Yeah, I suppose just to add further that, I suppose our grant funding wasn't successful, so we have to realign the budgets and make changes. So it's like Councillor Rice said, it's just a formality in moving things around. So support it.
Thank you, Councillor Campbell. Councillors, anyone speaking against? For? The only comment I'll make is that we note that there's a net effect, which is a $27,000.80 net effect. That'll be, I guess, remitted in the mid-year budget review, so that should be resolved. That's important to note. Councillor Ross, right reply. Okay, councillors, no one speaking against the officer's recommendation. Right reply has been had. I'll declare carried without dissent, 7-0. Next business is corporate services. List of accounts paid for the period ending 30th November 2024. Councillors, you have an officer's recommendation to receive the list of accounts. Can I have a mover for the officer's recommendation, please? Councillor Curtis. Seconder, Councillor Campbell. Councillor Curtis.
Yes, President, looked at the accounts and they all seem to be spot on, so no complaints there.
Councillor Curtis. Councillor Campbell.
No, nothing further to add. Thanks.
Thank you. Councillors, anyone speaking against the officer's recommendation? Anyone wish to speak for? Councillor Curtis, right replied, no?
Nothing more.
Okay, councillors, if no one's speaking against the officer's recommendation, I'll declare carried 7-0. Next item of business is CS02, monthly financial report for the period ending 30th November 2024. Councillors, you have an officer's recommendation to receive the monthly financial report. Can I have a mover for the officer's recommendation, please? Councillor Angus. Seconder, Councillor Ross. Thank you. Councillor Angus.
I'm happy to receive the report and I have not noticed anything out of place.
Thank you, Councillor Angus. Councillor Ross.
Equally so, I think just the observation that things like the graphs and pie charts and so on help me as a councillor, but I imagine they also help the community. They're much easier to follow, so well presented.
Thank you, Councillor Ross. Councillors, anyone speaking against the officer's recommendation? Anyone speaking for, would like to speak for the officer's recommendation? Councillor Angus, right replied.
And nothing to add, thank you.
Councillors, no one speaking against the officer's recommendation. I'll declare carried without dissent, 7-0. Chief Executive Officer section, first order of business is CEO 01, Work, Health and Safety Statistic Report for November 2024. Can I have a mover for the officer's recommendation, please? Councillor Campbell. Seconder, Councillor Ross, I think. Councillor Campbell.
So yeah, we're happy to receive the report. The only question I'd like to ask the CEO is the Michelle respiratory distress. With the fire at the tip yesterday, and obviously being a hazmat fire, I appreciate there's lots of chemicals and rubbish that gets burnt. Is there a way we can improve, well, not improve, but is there a way we can successfully manage both the dust and obviously the contaminants that are in there? And I don't know if it is just regular suppression. I don't know if there is that plan in place, because you did say improved dust suppression, but I'm not too sure if it's going to be increased wetting down of the area or what the plan is.
So, thank you for the question. Yes, we have already started mitigating for dust. We've already put a small water tanker there to regularly wet everything. It may not be sufficient over the warm season. We will see whether we're going to hire in an additional water tanker. We haven't budgeted for that, so we have to compromise somewhere else. We've already had an inspection by the Department of Environmental Affairs on the site yesterday after the fire. They've given us a list of things we needed to comply with by the close of business today. And I'm happy to report that we have complied with all of those and everything has been mitigated according to what they required. We've also, as a precaution before the fire season, already included basic firefighting gear with respiratory masks for our staff at various points in the depot and at some vehicles. If they are going to have to attend close to a fire site, they know to grab those bags. And we have issued respiratory equipment for the fire yesterday as well. There, as with all things, there might be some additional training required, but we have, in preparation for this fire season, put those things in place.
And one question, if I may. It wasn't a mulch fire that caused it?
Not this time.
Okay, all right.
This time it was probably a member of the public that didn't quite do the right thing and put the wrong items inside a black plastic bag, and it was inside the tip face, and it seems to something has combusted there.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Campbell. Councillor Ross?
No, the only point of concern was in the list of near misses and incidents, the asbestos removal. It's always a worry when something of that nature happens.
Thank you, Councillor Ross. Councillors, anyone speaking against? No one wish to speak for or make a comment? The only thing I would just say that it's excellent to see zero drug and alcohol exceedances, so we're going very well. A little disappointing on the speeding at the tip. I guess that's just disappointing, that's all.
I would just like to make a comment on the asbestos removal. We have got the health officers that are equipped to deal with asbestos removal, so they've got the appropriate PPE, and they've acted quite fast in this instance to secure the safety of the staff and the neighbouring residents.
Thank you. Right, reply.
Is that the white lovely PPE that they have in the annual report? Okay.
Okay.
No reply.
It's the Michelin Man outfit, isn't it?
Okay, councillors, if there's no one speaking against the officer's recommendation, I'll declare carried 7-0, so thank you for that. Okay, next item of business is... Were you leaving that one in, or were you taking that one out? Okay. Just 1 minute while I get to the right section. Just takes forever to find what I'm looking for. All right. What am I? Sorry, just 1 minute. I'm just in the wrong section of my review. Oh, I've gone far too far. Give me 1 minute. Yes, that's the one. All right. Item business is CEO 02, Bindoon Sport Recreation Association, as an officer's recommendation in regards to endorsing a memorandum of understanding between the Shire and the Bindoon Sports and Rec Centre. Can I have a mover for the officer's recommendation, please? Councillor Ross. Just 1 minute.
There has been a movement sent through to seem to appear there.
Okay, councillors, before we do, there's an amendment to the officer's recommendation. Can we see the amended officer's recommendation?
Can I just address it? So in the attachment, there's been a change made to the part, the 2.2.7. An item was added that gutter cleaning to be the main building and court shelters to be done by the Shire, as has been done. And then also an item.
Perhaps we start again. Can we start again? So you're saying there's an amendment to the MOU?
To the attached MOU under the commitments.
Mm-hmm.
So you've
The
added
first sentence now reads: the following commitments are in addition to or in place of the requirements specified in the lease agreement, and then for any other matters not specifically identified within this MOU, the terms of the existing lease shall prevail.
So council, this change came about of a question I asked around the MOU. I was concerned about the wording in the MOU. It didn't, and then the reference to, well, because it said that it replaced or additional. This MOU were additional requirements, but they weren't actually all additional. Some were changes. So the wording was to fix that up, I think, and then more specific references to.
So I had
to the
another
items.
councillor query, specifically the gutter cleaning, because it wasn't listed then. It was one of the items that was previously raised by the group as a matter of contention. So we thought we'd just add it specifically, naming that in this final version.
So just for clarity, is the MOU was signed by the Sport and Rec group, was it not?
It was signed, but it was sent through for final comments, and they sent back a signed version. So it's just a matter of them interpreting it as asking for signing instead of just saying, yes, we're fine with this to take it to council.
So if this is endorsed, then the new revision will go back to the Sport and Rec group to be signed.
Yes.
All right, sorry to clarify all that. So Councillor Ross was the mover. Can I have a seconder? Councillor Campbell. Councillor Ross.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm pleased that this agreement has reached a point of coming to council. It's taken quite a lot of time and negotiation and discussion to come up with an arrangement of conditions that suits both parties. And as with any Shire facility, our responsibility is to protect the Shire's interests and the Shire's building in this case and sporting facilities with it. On the other hand, we also have community groups such as Sport and Rec who are willing to contribute a lot of volunteer time and fundraising to enhance the facility and make it functional. So we do have a balancing act with any of these agreements. I'm pleased too that it's a relatively short document. You know, nothing gets harder to work with than something that's 20 pages long and you can't find the bit you're looking for. The shortness of this, I think, will be a help to everyone because it will be a useful guide in that sense. So I'm happy to support this.
Thank you, Councillor Ross. Councillor Campbell.
Yeah, I support it. I mean, it's a good step forward. Just building a relationship where we can work together with the users and the Shire, the council. So a step in the right direction to improve.
Thank you,
complex.
Councillor. Thank you, Councillor Campbell. Anyone speaking against? Anyone want to speak for?
Yeah, I do.
Councillor Chittering.
Look, I'll support the recommendation, even though it's been slow progress. I think it might have been 12 months, or maybe not 12 months ago, that we were trying to push pretty hard to open up some of the Shire facilities because they're perhaps underutilised, and I think Chickapee Sports Complex is a classic example. And I just can't understand why it's going to take possibly another 2 years to sort all this stuff out. I think we haven't lived up to expectation here, basically.
So, potentially some of the things I'll say might add to what
I mean, you know, accountability, transparency, and nothing's happened.
So if you don't mind me speaking. So this MOU will provide mutual equity between the group and the Shire, and also serve to activate the space to the broader community. It's an MOU, it's not binding. Okay, so the two-year period would allow as an extended trial that the mutual goodwill exists for the 2 years. If it doesn't exist, if there's a breach of the goodwill and it necessitates a different approach, then we'll have to go down that path. So the 2 years is just the trial period, and at which time we can formalise something going forward, such as a revised lease or something. So my view is it has taken a while to get to this point because there was considerable misunderstanding between the group and the Shire, or of the group, of their responsibilities, if you like. And I guess making things a bit more complex, the Shire was actually providing services that the group were meant to provide. So there was a bit of a grey area, and it's taken a bit of a time to get everyone on a common understanding. But in Where we've got to now is we have an MOU because changing the lease is too problematic at this point. It's done in good faith, and provided that the good faith exists and there's mutual equity, then, and we can activate the space, then the MOU serves its purpose. If it doesn't serve its purpose and it doesn't succeed, then there'll be a different process to go down to resolve the issues there. So hopefully that answered some of the questions, Councillor Angus.
Thank you. I will support this recommendation, but I am also a little bit frustrated about the whole journey. When we started this journey, it was to try and make better use for a wider portion of the community of the centre, and also reduce the costs to the community through the Shire paying for certain things for community members who weren't using it. So thank you, Councillor King, for your explanation. It helps, but I'm still frustrated to see that the grey area seems to have fallen mainly on Shire's side, and we're going to be paying for things simply because we have been doing them. It's not like the group there isn't making any profits, they are. I'm interested to see what's going to happen in the future as far as making the centre more accessible to wider members of the community, and seeing what happens with their fees for membership, etc.
Councillor Angus, if it helps at all, there in the MOU it requires the group to provide their financials on an annual basis, so we'll get visibility on where the organisation is sitting in terms of their financial capacity to fund things.
Thank you.
Don't know whether that helps, but thought I'd add that. We'll be back to Councillor Curtis. Anything from you?
Yeah, I support the office's recommendation, but yeah, like everyone else here, I think we want to see it more activated space,
Absolutely.
if you want to call it that. Because I know when we have the car day and we hire toilets and that, and we've got the toilets over the town hall, but the Chingaby won't let us use their toilets, so, you know, that's not good enough.
Thanks, Councillor Curtis. Councillor Hughes, anything from you?
Nothing more to add to the comments of other councillors.
Councillor Ross, right to reply?
Thanks, Mr. President. I think the 2-year issue is important because it does allow both parties to raise the prospect of changes and improvements that might be achieved in the future. So I think the comments that have been made during this discussion are things that need to go back to for further discussion in 2 years' time. But I think what we've got to now is an improvement on what we have had, and I think it will be a slow process to keep getting there, but step one has happened.
Councillor Hughes, I know you had right to reply, but I think probably one important point I would make as a personal explanation is that there was a considerable distrust between the group and the Shire in relation to who was providing the services. So I think this ultimately should provide greater trust and mutual equity again. So I think that's not to be underthought. All right, councillors, anyone? I'll just put this one to the vote. Councillors, I'll put this one to the vote. All those in favour? Carried 7-0. Councillors, next item of business, CO03, Reconciliation Action Plan Working Group. Councillors, you'll note there's a slight change in the wording. Point 3 has been added. Point 3 reads, I can read, instructs the Chief Executive Officer to invite members of the community to serve on the advisory group and report back to Council to approve the appointment. So I just need to close that, make that resolution a little bit more, less open-ended but more defined. Councillors, that is, the resolution is in front of you. Can I have a mover for the resolution, please? Councillor Ross. Seconder, please. Councillor Curtis. Councillor Ross.
Thanks, Mr. President. This is unusual terms of reference in some ways. Compared to others I've seen in my years on council, this is much longer and more detailed. And I think because of the potential sensitivity of the topic, that's probably a good thing to do, that you endeavour to avoid confusion and wrong expectations or hopes to the process. This is a long process. We can't get it underway until we form a working group, so I think it's time for us to support this and get things moving.
Thank you, Councillor Ross. Councillor Curtis.
Yes, Mr. President, I support the officer's recommendation. It's about time we had a reconciliation plan. Talked about it for a couple of years now. Get on with it.
Thank you, Councillor Curtis. Councillors, anyone speaking against?
Wayne?
Councillor Dewar.
I don't like this recommendation. Just seems. I'm not sure why we need it. Actually, I really don't. Is this an offshoot of the Voice, which got tossed out, or is this another offshoot of the Aboriginal Cultural Heritage Act that also got tossed out by the general public? Sick and tired of being told from city-centric bureaucrats how to live in the Shire. I've lived here for 59 years. My family's been here 70 years, and I resent the fact that I'm being told that I have to be part of this. I just don't know why we need it. And the resources on the Shire are scarce. Why can't we use them for some better things?
Thank you, Councillor Dewar. Councillors? I'll speak to it. I support the attempt to establish the working group on the caveat that if we don't have representation from Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islands on the group, I personally can't see the purpose of an advisory group if we don't get that participation. So part of the reason for this coming back to council is if we don't manage to attract those people, then we need to really think whether the group can actually provide advisory on Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander heritage in our local district, for which we ourselves would not have that expertise to do so. So I endorse this, and that's why the third point's been added, because even though it was implied it was coming back, the third makes it final. If we don't get that membership, then we need to seriously contemplate not proceeding with the advisory group. But that will come out in the wash. Councillors, anyone else? Right of reply, Councillor Ross.
Look, not a lot to say, Mr. President. I agree with the point you've made that we do need to have Whadjuk or Yuid people on the group. We won't know that until we put our toe in the water and test who puts their hand up to be part of it. I disagree with Councillor Dewar's point. I don't think this is forcing anything on anyone. It's simply an acknowledgement of 60,000 years of continuous habitation of this country by our Indigenous First Nations people, compared with 5 or 6 generations for the rest of us, if that, and that there has been harm done to relationships between cultures through the colonial era, and we're in a position to try and remedy that harm and build better relationships. This gives us some chance to do that.
Thank you, Councillor Ross. Councillors, I'll put the officer's recommendation to the vote. All those in favour? Against? Carried 6-1. Note the names for and against. Well, note the names against is Councillor Dewar, and then the rest will be by default for. Thank you. Next item of business, CEO 04, Shire of Chittering Annual Report 2022 to 2024. There's an officer's recommendation by absolute majority that you accept the annual report, inclusive of the financial statements. And point 2 is agree to convene the electors' general meeting on Wednesday the 5th of February 2025 at Bindoon Hall, Great Northern Highway at 7 p.m. That is the resolution in a nutshell. Councillors, can I have a mover for the officer's recommendation? Councillor Curtis. Seconder, Councillor Angus. Councillor Curtis.
I accept the officer's recommendation. I've read through the report. It's a good publication, very informative. Can't find anything wrong with it. That's about it.
Thank you, Councillor Curtis. Councillor Angus.
I'm happy to accept the annual report, and same as last year, it's very informative and interesting. Hopefully we will have another award and maybe another step run further up the ladder this time.
Thank you. Right, councillors, anyone speaking against? Anyone wish to speak for? Councillor Hughes.
Just to add on that this recommendation includes that the draft auditor's report be inserted into the document, and we had our audit committee meeting earlier, and that audit report.
So it's been removed because the final one is now
Right.
it is inclusive in that report. The
Okay.
audit report is in.
Okay, well, I was just going to go on to say that the audit report was very pleasing insofar as there was nothing significant found to be at fault, and that the auditor was quite pleased that the report was so good compared to other councils. We're doing very well with our financial management, so just to thank all of the officers involved, and it's good to see that we are well on track with our financials.
Thank you, Councillor Hughes. Councillors? The only comment I'll make is that, as usual, and it becomes almost expected, to be honest, that the quality of the annual report is of a very high standard. So it is testament to the CEO and the staff to producing such a report, and sets the bar very high all the time. So we're going to have to try and find a way to lift that bar and stretch people again, because we're certainly batting above our average compared to other local governments. So with larger budgets and with a smaller ourselves having a smaller budget and smaller workforce, we're punching well above our weight. So congratulations to the CEO and staff for producing the annual report. And as Councillor Hughes says, the audit report was very successful. There was no, trying to think of the word, one minor item, but nothing of any consequence. So congratulations again. Councillor Curtis, you have right of reply.
Nothing more to add, Mr. President.
Councillors, anyone speaking against? No one speaking against. I'll declare absolute majority. No, I'll put this to the vote because it's absolute majority. Councillors, I'll put the officer's recommendation to the vote. All those in favour? Carried 7-0. Thank you. Item 10, reports of committees. COM 01, Local Emergency Management Committee, unconfirmed meeting minutes and scheduling of 2025 meeting dates. Councillors, you have an officer's recommendation that receives the unconfirmed minutes and the dates and the place of meeting and time of meeting. Can I have a mover for the officer's recommendation, please? Who's going to move the Local Emergency Management? Councillor Hughes. Seconder, please. Councillor Angus. I get a sore neck. All right, Councillor Hughes.
We just receiving the minutes, and it's got the dates there. This is probably one of our most important committees, I think. It's our local emergency management committees, and those are very busy people. So if they have endorsed these dates, then I'm sure that is all in order. I was pleased to see when I did read through the minutes that there'll be 2 Black Hawk helicopters be stationed at Ginger in this fire season. So I imagine they probably might have used them the other day. So I think we're well placed ahead of this fire season to put our trust in these people to keep us well protected. Thank you.
Councillor Hughes. Councillors, anyone speaking? Sorry. Councillor Angus.
Yeah, I'm happy to receive the minutes and agree with everything that Councillor Hughes has said.
Thank you, Councillor Angus. Anyone speaking against the officer's recommendation? Okay. The only thing I'll add, other than the 2 Black Hawk helicopters, which are conveniently located in Gingin, is we are uniquely positioned between Gingin RAAF bases and also Jandakot for these services. So we're quite fortunate to be located close enough to that major infrastructure so that those appliances can be deployed quite quickly. So let's hope that they're not required, but take comfort in that they're available if needed. Councillor Hughes, you've got a reply?
Nothing to add.
Councillor, if no one's speaking against the officer's recommendation, I'll declare carried 7-0. Declare carried without dissent 7-0. COM 02, Audit and Risk Committee unconfirmed minutes. Councillors, you have an officer's recommendation to receive the minutes from the Chittering Audit and Risk Committee meeting. And I have a mover for that. That will have to be Councillor Angus, I would suspect. Seconder, Councillor Campbell. Councillor Angus.
I'm happy to receive the minutes, thank you, and we'll look over them while it's fresh in my mind.
Thank you, Councillor Hughes. Angus, sorry. Councillor Campbell.
Only it's good to get feedback from the auditors that things are improving and there's less and less issues uncovered. So it's good times when you only have a problem with leave. So well
One
done.
person.
One person.
One person.
But yeah, thanks.
Councillor Campbell. Councillors, anyone speaking against? It's 4.
Not
Councillor
speak
Hughes?
for or against, I just have a question. Should it
Yes.
specify the date in this motion? Previous one did.
Yeah, we can just add there.
Yes, held on.
So with the
Yeah.
approval of the mover and the seconder, we'll add the date
Yeah.
in here.
Yep, I'm happy with that.
Okay,
No,
thank
I'm
you.
not. Let's go. Anyone want to storm out?
There you go.
She's walking out because she said you're not happy.
I was trying to get Aaron's, excitement levels up.
I'm going to get them up today.
Never happened.
Not today. Thank you very much. So the approval of the move and the second, we've just edited the words to put the date in there. Okay, so that was the mover. The seconder. Anyone speaking against? Anyone wish to make any other comments? Thank you. Councillor, right, a reply not required, I assume. Councillor Angus. Councillor, if no one's speaking against the officer's recommendation, I'll declare carried without dissent 7-0. Right. Item 11, motions of which previous notice has been given. There are nil. Item 12, questions from members without notice. First question is from Councillor Curtis, CS01 1124, list of accounts paid for the period ending 31st of October 2004. The question was in relation to queries on the following item. Item 13, Burnville Proprietary Limited. Item 31, Digger West and Earth Parts WA. Item 50, Maryville Wines Proprietary Limited. Item 57, Northern Valley Plumbing Proprietary Limited. And item 80, Tractor Man. So the following answers were provided to Councillor Curtis on the 21st of November. Item 13, Burnville Proprietary Limited. This was a return of a defect and works bond. Item 31, which was Digger West and Earthworks WA, was purchase of a mulcher attachment for the skid steer. Item 50, Maryville Wines Proprietary Limits, was return of a landscaping bond. Item 57, Northern Valley Plumbing Proprietary Limited. The answer is plumbing repairs at Wannamal Rest Stop, Clune Park, Transit Park, Chittering Healthcare, a new water service at the Brockman Centre. And item 80, Tractor Man, the response was this was for verge spraying as part of fire mitigation at 15 locations. They were the answer to the questions. Councillors, are there any questions for tonight?
Can I ask a question? So, is that tap for the Brockman Centre that Chris Waldy was concerned about? Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Are there any new questions? No new questions? We'll move on. Item 13, business. New business of an urgent nature introduced by decision of the meeting. There are nil. Item 14, meeting closed to the public. Matters of which the meeting may be closed. We have an officer's recommendation that council moves into a confidential session to discuss the following matter, which is CON01, purchase of lot 22, Casuarina Close, Bindoon. Direction to proceed. Can I have a mover for the officer's recommendation? Councillor Angus. Seconder, please, Councillor Campbell. Councillor Angus.
Happy to go behind closed doors.
Sure. Councillor Campbell.
Likewise.
Anyone speaking against the officer's recommendation?
Someone want to close the door.
If no one speaking against the officer's recommendation, I'll declare carried 7-0 and we shall move behind. you make that a bit larger, I can. All right, so I'll read out the public reading of the, are we on record still? Are we back? Okay. Public reading of the resolution. That council determined that the site and the soil evaluation costs did not support the intended subdivision of the land, and the anticipated development costs are substantially higher for the smaller lots, and advised the Department of Communities that it does not wish to proceed with the purchase of Lot 22 Casuarina Close. In Doom, point 2, instructs the Chief Executive Officer to further investigate aged care accommodation housing options and report back to Council. The motion was carried 5-2. Next item of business is closure. I declare the meeting closed at 8:38.